host, Michaela Thomas, from the Kids Biz, where knowledge is power. Today, my very special guest is Mrs. Jennifer Prew of the Butterfly Jar Art Studio in Waterford, Michigan. We're going to be working with clay. Hello, Mrs. Prew.
Hi, Michaela.
Thank you for letting us come to your Butterfly Jar Art Studio.
Well, thank you for coming.
Can you tell us what we're going to be making today?
Well, I'm going to let you choose from what we're going to do today. We're going to play with clay, and we're going to do some ceramic work. But before that, we need to know what you want to do. Here's some nice ceramic pieces that we can do. Here's a little bowl that we imprint with some stamps. Got a little cold there?
Yeah. I'm a little sick today, but the show must go on.
Excellent. What a trooper. Well, and then we have these cute little gnome homes that we're going to make. Or you can make a little dish like this, or these are popular too. These are called pinch pots, and we do them all in different textures.
I would like to do the gnome home.
You do? Okay. Who's this little guy?
Oh, that's Flat Stanley. My teacher said I have to take him like everywhere we go and take pictures with him.
Oh, like where's Flat Stanley today?
Yeah.
Should we park him right here in our gnome home for the day?
Yeah.
Okay, so he can watch over us today while we make him a gnome home, okay? What do you think of that?
Yeah.
Shall we get started?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, we're going to start. Now this is clay that's been fired once, so it's nice and hard. Normally we would then go in the other room and pick out some glazes, which I've got over here for us to glaze after. Today what we're going to do is what they call a wet glaze. We're going to glaze right on top of our creation before it goes into the kiln. It doesn't come out as vibrant, you can't get as much detail, but it's still a nice process that you can do all at once without having to do 2 trips to the studio. So when it comes out, it's going to look like this. So we go from clay to what they call bisqueware, to what they call ceramic once you paint it with the glaze, which is powder, and it turns to glass at the kiln. We take it up to about 2,000 degrees in the kiln for about 10 hours, and then it turns to glass. So I'm going to set Flat Stanley in the gnome homes over here to watch us while we make our own. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the smaller of our 2 pieces of clay, and sometimes I use a stick so we don't get too skinny. You're going to watch me first, and then you kids are going to go ahead and start. So my base is a little thin, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put mine in half, but yours is fine, I think. And we really want to smush our clay. Sometimes this is already compacted clay. It takes the air bubbles out. If you don't take air bubbles out of your clay, sometimes it can crack in the kiln. So what we're going to do is we're first going to roll out and make just a little area that's going to be the base of our gnome home. We don't want to make it too thin because nobody wants to live on an unsound foundation, right? So this is about right. And then we can make it into like a shape once we get our longer piece. Then we're going to take our longer piece, which is this one here, and we're going to make it a little bit skinnier so we can make it into a circle. Okay? Couple different directions. If it sticks, that's okay. You just don't want to get it too thin, okay? So kind of go in one direction, kind of take it, and you just want to wiggle it a little bit here and there. Don't apply tons of pressure all at once. That looks good, like Michaela. Yep, flip it over. See what it looks like. So then the next thing we're going to do, and these are cutting tools. This can cut clay. These pin tools are very sharp. We don't poke them, but we drag them. These also cut clay. And then we have these clay knives. One side is very sharp, and you can see the serration. So you don't want to grab it at this side because it's really sharp. and that cuts as well. So these are all cutting tools. And what we're going to do now is, Michaela, we're going to start in the middle, and let's turn this over so we have a nice flat spot. Now start in the middle and put some equal pressure running back and forth. You girls can start doing the same. And we're going to make it come out a little bit further. So what we're going to end up wanting to do is make this circle for our gnome home, okay? So kind of wiggle it just a little bit back and forth. If you want it a little wider, you can take it once in the other direction. Yep. And then to keep it nice and smooth, you can flip it over. If it starts sticking to your roller, it's just getting a little too wet. There we go. You don't want to make it too thin because you don't want it falling over. Give it a little bit more pressure up here. You need it just a little bit longer. And then we're going to do a couple techniques. We're going to do some slip and score. Have you ever heard those terms? Yes. That's how we marry two pieces of clay together so they don't come apart. Yep. Give it a nice, go ahead and put a little more pressure on it, Michaela. We want it to get just a little bit longer. There you go. Here you go. Let's give it one good go. See how nice that is?
Yeah.
Excellent. Anybody have any questions? Do you know where clay comes from? Does anyone know where clay comes from?
No.
Where?
The ground.
Comes from the ground. But what in the ground makes clay?
Mud.
Over the years, rocks break down into itty bitty pieces. And then when you add water to it, it makes clay. And the ancient Egyptians, I think, were the first to make clay pots.
This is good.
Yeah, those are excellent. You know what? Trees, it's okay. Whoa. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece just at the very end, and we're going to bend it up a little bit. And this is going to be how we're going to attach it to our base. So you're making just a little shelf or lip on there. Yep. And then we're going to take a burnishing tool or a scoring tool, and we're going to kind of rough up this edge a little bit and make little crosshatch patterns. Can you see this, girls?
Yes. Yes.
So I'm just kind of roughing this up a little bit, giving it a little tooth, not going too deep because you don't want to cut through your foundation. You're just kind of roughing up this area of clay right here. You can use the knife. The slip, which is just watered down clay. And we're going to run that over our scored area. And we're going to put it on the back side of where we just scored here. We're not going to smooth it in and rough out our scoring. If you should get too much in, you can always go back and take your tool and just kind of score that in just a little bit more. And then we're going to take one side of our gnome home, and we're going to do the exact same thing. So we're going to fold it with our lip outward like this. So our base is folded out to make your circle, and this is how you're going to attach it to your base. So where you think you're going to score, you're going to kind of pull it apart and do that slip and score one more time on this edge and on your under edge. So these two pieces are going to marry together as well. So these two pieces are now going to come together. And then you can use your fingers and just kind of stick these two together and start mushing this down onto your base. Isn't it fun? We're getting dirty.
Yeah.
This is the only place I encourage getting dirty, right, Mick? My Michaela?
Yeah.
So you can pick which side you want to be your front door or your back door. And if you have a fork in front of you, I wouldn't use the knife. I wasn't sure which project you were going to do, but I'm going to pass out some more of these. And if you guys can see, I'm gonna make my little fairy door right here, or my little gnome home door right here. And I'm gonna give it a little doorknob. And I'm gonna give him a little name plate up here to put his name. Is yours gonna be Stanley?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna take my fork. And you see how I didn't dig in really hard?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take and I'm gonna kind of weave it up there to make like my tree texture. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so here's your fork. And you want to hold it from the inside if it's weak. It looks like you've all got some pretty good sides going on. You're all excellent.
I got a weak spot.
Sculptors.
Is this like, I don't know if this is a weak spot.
Nope, that's your seam.
All right.
And we're just going to blend it together a little bit. So you're going to put your door opening on this side, right?
Yeah.
So don't put your texture on yet. Draw your little door, and we use these tools. These are all clay tools. And then when we wash our hands into buckets. We never let clay go down the drain. Does anyone know why? Yeah, same with when we do our mosaicing. Grout can never go down the drain, or we become cement. Sometimes in the kiln, if you don't slip and score and really make a secure attachment, they would fall off. Or like if you attached a piece to this, like a handle on a mug, if you don't slip and score the handle onto your mug and really smooth it in there really well, in the kiln it would just, the air would get in there, and you'd open the kiln and the handle would be laying next to it in the kiln. It wouldn't be together anymore. See, here's one with a little gnome in it.
That one's cool.
He's our little garden gnome. And we made his little fireplace and stuff inside.
That's cool.
And he's got even a little out. Well, you can draw that when you glaze it. If you cut it in, you might weaken your walls. You think you can get a square in there?
Yeah.
You can try it.
I was thinking of putting
I would use the pin tool that Michaela has instead of the knife. Just don't go real deep
I will.
so you don't cut through the wall.
Yeah, the gnome would be cold at night.
You could have a peeky hole. Why do you think we put clay on these canvases? This is actually canvas that hasn't been wrapped around wood. This is actually canvas that's untreated like we paint with. Fine.
Hey, Mom, can you hand me that knife?
Which one? This one? See how I'm handing her the knife? Not with the blade.
Like facing her face.
That's right.
And a fireplace right here that I'm done.
You've got a whole condominium going on there, huh?
Yeah.
There's no room in here for a fireplace.
This is a small house.
Yeah, mine's very small.
Jacuzzi.
a very small gnome.
Yours is for huge.
So what we use these for is you can put your pencils in them. If you wear glasses, it's a great place to house your glasses, or you can put your jewelry
Or you
in
can
it.
like hide candy in it.
You could put your candy stash in there, your chewed up bubble gum holder. I used to have one when I was little.
Why?
I don't know.
You used to put chewed up bubble gum in it?
I used to save chewed up bubble gum for another day.
Gross.
I know,
I
right?
thought I would probably just throw it at my brother.
You throw it.
If my brother visits, then I'll just throw it at him, at his face, and then if I get a good shot, then I'll just make a mustache.
Oh, that's funny. Here, so put some texture here, and I think we're all good to go.
You can use chewed up bubble gum for a weapon.
This is true. Are we going to put some texture on the side of yours? Up the sides of the tree? Do you have it? Okay. I just don't see it from over there. Good. And then what I think I want you to do is run your fingers. See the seam in there? I want you to kind of smooth that together a little bit to make sure that's not going to come apart in the kiln. Okay?
I made this little heart.
Michaela likes turtles, so she's got a turtle. Yep, you can just use
got a
your
little-
thumb.
I'm gonna do little ducklings.
Gotta make sure his legs show up.
Yep, you guys all did a great job. Your walls are real good. Sometimes they get thin and we have to patch them up a little bit. I'm gonna add a little slip. You got one little soft spot in there. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna add a little slip to this and just shove it. Feel where that little soft spot is in there?
Yeah.
We're
Guess
just gonna
what,
stick this
guys?
in there.
For June, our field trip, we're going to the green thing and we're gonna get ice cream.
What green thing?
Like the Henry Ford.
A Greenfield Village and
Yeah.
Henry Ford Museum?
Yeah. And we get ice cream.
You get to see all about history too.
I don't get to go there.
Yeah, and we need to like wear these like girl stuff. We need to wear like
Old time
yes.
of the era.
Yeah.
They also have a house where you can watch where they blow glass
Oh yeah, I went there.
at the Greenfield Village glass blowing. It gets really hot in there.
Yeah.
They made horse from there.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Michaela got a marble that glows in the dark. It has
Ooh. It's weird. It's like senses like your blood cells or something. It makes it glow or something.
it's got a
You
chemical
can see
in
your
it.
veins in it.
It's got uranium or something in it.
Don't you think it could blow up?
I don't know what the mineral is in it
It probably would.
or the element that's in it. They told
That'd be
us
freaky.
what it was. I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
Okay.
I think
So did anybody learn anything about clay?
that it's from little rocks.
Uh-huh.
And when you wet them, it turns into clay.
How about that it's fun?
Yeah. It's messy.
It's messy.
I learned that a long time ago.
It doesn't go down the sink.
Doesn't go down the side. You have to slip and score it to make them stay together.
Right? How about you, Michaela? Are you having fun?
Yeah.
I'm gonna name my gnome Bob.
Bob.
Bob the gnome. I need to add that on the mat. Where's my door? I should have.
Is that a drawbridge, Ashley, now?
Yes.
Or a cobblestone walk? If you wanted to do that, you would take little pieces of clay and add them to your piece. You could stick them on there and make little rocks if you wanted.
Ow.
Bob is
Al?
good to make.
Ow.
Excellent.
Ow. Ow.
No lady gnomes? No gnomettes?
Actually, I'm gonna name mine Sally.
Sally. Maybe I'll name mine Allie.
So I'm making some pebbles.
Sally,
Bob the big
Allie.
gnome.
I'll name mine Tammy.
Tammy?
If it's a
Yeah.
boy, Al. If it's a girl, Allie. Yeah. Al?
So is that
Allie,
Stanley's
Allie.
girlfriend or wife?
Stan's a kid, Mom.
No, her paper Stanley.
Paper Stan.
Oh.
I want to do like a girl gnome Stanley. He lives somewhere else.
Wait,
in
can
my
I have
bedroom.
some extra clay?
Yep.
I'm gonna put the pieces over there.
I think that's cool.
Anybody else want to do an embellishment?
I think my welcome mat is good. It says Sally.
Now remember, if you put something on, you could slip and score it.
I want to make a mailbox.
No. I don't know
How much time do you?
I'm just gonna probably draw it on the wall or something. I don't know.
I'm gonna edit anyway. Let's go. See, I'm gonna put some rocks next to mine by the brook I have in mine. Okay, these are all great and they look like they're just about completed. So we're gonna start wrapping this up. Almost done. Okay, just put your final pieces on and then we're gonna set them aside for just a minute and then we're gonna come back and do some glazing on them.
Like painting them?
Yep, we're gonna put the glaze on it.
I thought we paint them after we
Well, this is called a wet glaze. So we're just gonna let them set up while we give it a minute.
Do we get
And then I'm gonna clear up all the utensils and then we're going to set it up for glazing.
This is just.
So So the kids did their gnome homes, and this is a piece that's already been poured, and this is in the clay form. So once what they did dries, it becomes like this, and it's very brittle. Then what we do is we come over here, and we bake it, and it comes out as bisqueware. This is our kiln, and the kids will glaze their pieces. We stack the kilns on posts so they don't actually stick. If we just set them down on the kiln shelves, the pieces would stick. So we put them on these posts. And then this is how you get your ceramics. So here's a little bottom to a cupcake that somebody did. Here's a plate that some of the kids did with their handprints. We have to leave space in between the shelves, in between the lid, and then we set it to fire, and they fire for about 10 hours at almost 2,000 degrees. Hi, and we're back now to do the second half of our glazing portion of making our clay gnome homes. Stanley's back to make sure you all do it right and make him a nice little home as well. So this is what we're going to do first. We're going to use the brown that I've had put on the table. This is glaze. Glaze is not paint, it's powder basically, and it turns to glass when we heat it up in the kiln. So what we do is we call it loading the brush. We never load our paint up into the metal. We take our brush and we go back and forth, and in doing that it gets all the fibers of the brush within. Now when we're painting on our clay, because it hasn't been fired once to bisque, this is still very soft. So you're going to pretend like you're painting on an egg, and we're going to lay the paint on our gnome home and get all those grooves and stuff in our tree base. So go ahead and grab your brushes. If you push too hard, you'll soften your grooves that we put in with the forks. So we're going to put, normally we put 3 thin coats of glaze down on our ceramic. And we never mix glazes with water because they don't come out very vibrant. And when you're doing 3 coats of it, it just sometimes doesn't even stick. So in between using our colors, we wash our brush, but then we use these chamois to take all the water out. They're never the color that you're going to get. That's why we make a color chart. So I had those little samples of color that we looked at.
Why does it look so different before it's fired?
Because it's a powdered pigment, it doesn't come to its true vibrancy until it's baked, and then it brightens up. If you want it to look like brush strokes, you use 1 coat of glaze. If you want it to look like a solid coat of color, you use the 3 coats, and you want to put them on smoothly. So you use the one side of the brush, and then you finish the stroke with the other side of the brush, and then you come back and load up for some more. If your glaze is turning to powder, it means you need to come for paint more often. Now if you want to make the inside of your tree brown, go ahead and continue on into the inside.
So how many coats do we do?
If you can get 3 on without muddying up your clay, but we let them dry in between coats. It's not going to dry like it does on our bisqueware because our clay is still wet. We call this inline glazing, or wet glazing, where we're doing it all at the same time, and it all shines up within our bisque fire.
Do you do it like you're firing clay to make it a ceramic, or do you fire it like it is a ceramic?
Nope, you fire it in the bisque fire. It fires at a different temperature. This glaze allows us to do it in both steps. Good question. Bless you. Yep, we're gonna do the brown first because it's the biggest part of it. Normally we work lightest to darkest with our glazes on bisqueware, but on this we're going to do the most prominent color first. So So is anybody making the inside of their gnome home brown too?
I probably will.
And see over here, it looks like you got one coat. And even if you only get 1 or 2 coats on it when it's wet like this, it should be fine. Because trees aren't perfect in color anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of sketchy. Okay, so I have my brown down. And then depending on if you have grass or water, if your gnome home's butting up against a lake, I'm gonna come around with some green and some blue. And you wanna clean your brush thoroughly. So you take it right to the bottom of the bowl and you clean, 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 clean. And then we use these little chamois to drink all the water up out of the brush. And sometimes I just like going to a new dry brush. So do you have water or do you have grass?
Grass and water.
Me too.
A little bit of both.
I'm just doing water.
Okay. So I'm going to come around with a little green and blue.
So we're doing 3 coats of this?
Yeah.
If you can without it getting too soft.
But this should
How about you, Michaela? What do you have? Green or do you have
Yeah.
grass and water?
While I wait for this to dry, should I do something else?
Yeah, you can do that. So you can just set your brush aside so you don't get that
Is
wet.
there possible to be grass inside a tree?
Sure.
Moss? Good.
Wait, should I use a smaller
And I
brush?
need red.
We'll do the red last. Did you put a heart or something on it?
I did.
Okay.
And I put
So
a butterfly on mine.
Butterfly. I put a heart on the door because it's Sally's store.
So if you had the lake or the moat, go ahead and fill that in with your blue. And then what color, we're gonna have to get a color for your doors too. I have yellow and red and orange here. And mine just butts right up to a little babbling brook here.
What's a babbling brook?
Babbling.
Oh.
It's moving. And I'm just kind of laying it down, blotting it on there. Normally you would put smooth, but when you work on wet clay,
I'm just going to cut here for a minute, just keep working.
I would like to thank my very special guest, Mrs. Prew, for letting us come to her Butterfly Jar Art Studio in Waterford, Michigan. Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful rest of today. I have been your host, Michaela Thomas, Kids Biz, where knowledge is power!